All right, so you've seen relational operators and you've seen identity operators. Now there's another operator, often called logical operators. I don't necessarily like that name, but really it's an additional operator or a few different operators that allow us to connect multiple relational operators or multiple identity operators, right? So we saw, let's say we have two variables here, A and B. And if we wanted to just simply compare these to one another, is A less than B? We get true. And that's fine, that's simple. But when we start to add, let's say, an additional comparison that we want to do, or if we want to compare both of these variables to some other object, then it becomes a little bit more difficult to do, right? So say we want to say, is A less than 20 and is B less than 20? You know, you have to start thinking about the ordering of how we string these together, right? I could say is A less than B and is B also less than 20, which would imply that A is less than 20. Problem with that is it's all kind of implied based off of the ordering. So these logical operators kind of help us to simplify this. So we can say is A less than 20 and is B less than 20. Now when we string these together, right, it's beneficial to go ahead and add parentheses. Now it's not required. If we actually did not include these parentheses, we'll see that we still get the result that we intend. But it does help to make it a little bit more explicit when we're looking at the code, right? So just realize that there's an order of operations that are being held here. We don't need to include parentheses, but if you like to include parentheses just simply for kind of explicit calling out, right? Or if we have more complex relational operators that we want to include in here, that can be beneficial as well. Right, so now we could say is, let's do is A less than 5 and is B less than 5? Well, in this case, one of these is true, one is not. The and operator is going to say, are both of these true, right? Do they both hold? And the response is no, they don't both hold because B is not less than 5. B is greater than 5. But if I only cared about do one of these conditions hold, I can use the or operator. Right, and we see we have true now, right? Because one of these holds, or at least one of these holds, doesn't matter. We're not looking for do both of them hold, right? And now the not operator is just a way that we can negate some case, right? So let's say not A less than 5 and A less than B, and we get true, right? And that's because if we actually looked at this without the not, we get false, right? Because both of these conditions do not hold, right? So not is just used to negate those two. All right, so let's use this information to solve our knowledge check questions. So let's go back to our monitor problem. Here we've got, I have a monitor. Remember, this was your monitor at one point in time, but you gave it to me. And it has a certain pixel resolution. And now you have a monitor, which is an updated monitor that has a different pixel resolution. Now we may want to say, look, let's say there's some standard monitor that's equal to 8 million pixels, right? And we want to say, well, are both our monitors, do they both have more pixels than the standard monitor? Okay, so easy way to do this is I could say, well, what I care about is my monitor greater than the standard monitor, and is your monitor greater than the standard monitor? And we see, yes, in fact, it is true. And we could actually see this if we were to evaluate both our monitors. We see that they are both greater than 8 million. Now, the next one is at least one of our monitors greater than 8.5 million pixels. Okay, so in this case, what I could do is I could take the same code here, right? What we're going to do is actually let me take this code, the standard monitor. I want to update this to be 8.5 million. Okay, and now let's ask, well, is at least one of our monitors greater than this standard monitor value, right? So to do that, I'd have to change my and to an or statement. So this is going to say, is at least one of these two conditions, right? Is at least this condition or this condition met. And here it is true. And the reason it's true is because your monitor, we can see, is a little bit over 8.8 million pixels, where my monitor is actually just under 8.3. So my monitor, that condition does not hold, right? We could look at this individually. Just go ahead and just take that condition, look at that. That is false, but if we were to look at your monitor, that is true. Therefore, at least one of these conditions hold, and that's what we're looking for with this OR statement, so we get a single true back.